But we do have a new bearing, and we have the right stem and the triple tree from the bottom all ready to go. So we're going to be installing new races in the frame, and then we can put that triple clamp back on, triple tree, and then we can put the front end back on and lift this guy up, and then she's way better ready to go. So all right, so some people say don't put these in the freezer, other people say do it. So let's go install. Here we go. So the first thing you want to do, make sure these are all dry and clean, which we already did. And no burrs in there. Everything's smooth. I'm not catching myself on anything. Otherwise, you want to take a little bit of sandpaper in there. Just bring them down. So that's good. Look at that. That was from the accident, I guess. So everything's solid now. Good chance to look it over. Make sure you don't have any cracks. Got some hair. It's not a crack. So same thing in the top. Now that we're all cleaned up in here, see, that's gonna sit right down in there. So we don't have any cracks. Everything's smooth and fine. You're gonna make her sit down in there, just real quick and easy. So what we're gonna do, take a real small, thin layer of grease so it slides in there even better. I could even take it off the top here. You don't have to do this, but if it helps, I'm gonna give myself a hand out, a hand up. Just real thin. We don't want that stuff getting stuck up in there and having any issues with it, like expanding when you're pushing that piece down in. There we go. That's as good as it can be. Huh, there is a little thing right there. Maybe I should worry about that. I gotta make sure that's not gonna catch or keep this thing from sitting down straight. You see that right there? Huh. I didn't even notice that till just now. I'm gonna get down and look at this. And also in the top. Make sure everything is just perfectly smooth. And it's gonna lay down on there just fine. Again, take a little bit off the top and just put it right in around there. So I froze the bottom one, but guess what? I did not freeze the top one, so I'll just be interested to see how that goes in. If the frozen one goes in easier. I'm not gonna heat up the frame. I haven't done that before. I don't think that's necessary. Frozen metal will be brittle, and I don't want to make it, the cold and the heat, expand or make it even more brittle or fail or anything. So there we go. Yeah, I'm gonna maybe file that piece down a little bit. Make sure that we're not gonna have something in there that keeps it from sitting in flush. Oh guys, yeah, you can see with the closer inspection here, that is a little divot for some reason. I'm gonna just have to clean that out. Make sure that's not gonna be sitting up and getting in the way of laying flush here. That would just be enough to be bad. And this here, that's out of the way. That's not gonna be a problem. That must have been just crash damage. So you see why we had to replace these now? It's definitely not gonna be a good thing to be in there. The rest of it does look just fine. You see the lips right in there, and right there. So we could get those out easily. Yep, that was the way we got them out. So I'm gonna get a screwdriver in there and just see if I can push these out of there. Just basically just that one. This one's fine. It's got a little bit of a notch. Maybe I'll try and sand that down a little bit. Otherwise, we're good to go. My parts over there still outside of the freezer. And hey, there's our horn. Wonder if that works. We don't know if anything works on this bike, but there it is. Okay, I'm really glad I went ahead and did that, because now I have there's no catch. There's a little divot, but that's not gonna get in the way of laying down the lower race now. Is there a little bit more catch there? I might have to hit that again, but I got all the I got all the shavings out. Tried to lower that a little bit. Just seems like it took a hit. Boom. Probably hit right there and push that back. So that's what we're seeing here. Yeah, this will be fine. I think I have a little bit right there I need to hit yet. Where'd that sandpaper go? Well, I used my screwdriver. Maybe I should do that again, because that actually just pushed that little piece of metal out of there in the first place. Just make sure we don't have anything that's going to hinder this from laying down flush. There we go. Get that in there. Smooth that down. I think this is like 100 grit sandpaper. Smoothing that right up. Okay, now we're smooth. All right, I'll wipe this back out. And again, put a little bit of grease in there so I can slide this sucker in. Where am I? Make sure this is all cleaned out. I don't want to do this again. This is once and done here. Whoop. Once and done, guys. Don't want to have to do anything else to this one. Don't have to take it off again, for sure. Okay. Everything seems good. I'm a little concerned about that spot right there. I don't think I'm making much headway sanding it down. Not sure what I would do. I think it's out of the way. I think we'll be fine. We should be fine, right? We should be fine. Yeah, I think we'll be fine. All right, let's smooth that out, wipe that out again, and then we'll put a little bit of grease in and tap in the lower race. All right, here's our lower race. If you get a pack of the top and the lower, you'll notice this one's bigger than the top. So make sure that you size it up. You can even size it up to your old one, but make sure you don't get this one dirty. So she's just gonna fit in there snugly. And then, oh, it's still cold. Definitely still cold. We're gonna tap her around with the old race. There are tools you can get for this, and maybe you should do that, but I don't have them. So I'm just gonna use this rubber mallet and start tapping her in. It'll probably pop out if I do this wrong. And I can't hold my phone and camera while I do this. So I'm gonna tap it in. Notice I'm not gonna have much of an edge. I gotta go get the other race, flip it around, and mate it up with this one so I can tap it in. Just tap it in. Guys, this is what we're gonna use to knock this guy in. I did cut a slot in it so that it's not as wide as the original, the old one, because as I pound this in, you can actually use either end, I guess. This will give you a wider edge to hit. But as I pound this in, this is gonna go in there too. So I want this to come out easily. Took a little bit of metal out so it shouldn't embed itself in there as hard. So it should be easier to get out. So I'm gonna line this up with the new one and tap it around till she seats in there the way she needs to be. And as you're doing this, you're gonna tap, tap, tap around, and it'll be like a dead sound when you hear it. Look at this. This is the old race with the ball bearings, if you remember correctly. It had the ball bearings in that cage. And then here, it's a tapered bearing, and this race is much wider. It actually gives a nice linear feel for your steering. So quite a bit different, but same, all the same nonetheless. All right, guys, you'll be able to see in here that you can pretty much see the lip, and if it's all even all around, you should be good to go. And let me tell you, as you're hitting this thing, I'm just gonna set you down so you can see what I'm doing. So basically, you're gonna hear metal on metal. Until you get to that point, you're not in the whole way. Before, it'll sound kind of like a little hollow. Now we're all in. Here, it sounds solid. I don't know if you can see that, but that's what we're doing. Now we're gonna do that to the top. Now remember, this one was frozen. The top one is not. So I better look at this one, make sure it's all good. No crazy stuff like the bottom had. And then we'll tap her in. So like I said, cut that little notch out, see? Never got stuck. If this was fully open, or fully like it was, she would have got stuck. Here you can see the old damage where the race used to sit, where the ball bearings were digging in. See? Okay, so that's that. Here's my top one. Haven't cut the slot yet, so we'll grab my Dremel, cut through that, so that's easy to do. The new one is here. I'm gonna take it out of this package. These need packed with grease. I have to do the top and the bottom one. Where'd that box go? So my buddy put this on for me. I need to put the grease in here, squeeze it all around till it comes out the inside. This is dry right now. You need grease packed into this thing. Normally you do it off the bike, but he put it on for me on the stem, so we're gonna have to do that now. I'll show you this one when we do this one. All right, so if you never ordered steering bearings, let me just show you. I got stuff everywhere. So I cut the old one out, so now I can use that as a driver. But here's how they come. Here's our new bearing. If you order these, I got them from All Balls. I'll show you the list of what these fit. Just about every bike I own, in Honda anyway, uses the same steering bearing. So I had to look, because I know I had 3 sets of these, and I think they were all ordered from time to time when, I don't know, they had sales or something. eBay was giving discounts. So I ordered them because I knew I'd need them someday. And the funny thing is, they fit just about every bike I have. Like I said, the 08, 07 CBR 600RR, they fit my 80s. I think they fit all the Magnas, maybe the Sabres. They definitely fit the 97, 94 Honda Magnas, the 750s. So, good to know. I have all the bikes I need them for, basically, are covered. Because I knew I used the same thing on, I already used one on the Magna, as you saw in that video. If you didn't, go back and watch it. So, basically, this looks good inside. I already put a thin layer of grease. So you want the tapered side facing up this time, not lower. Like on the bottom, we had it facing down because that's where the bearing sits. This time, this is the bottom. That's going straight down. That's going to sit straight in on our thing. And when you're driving this in, you want to drive it evenly. So tap it on this end, tap it. I can even push it in just a little bit. So I'm going to tap it evenly around here. And at this point we can use, I'll use a rubber mallet because I don't want to hit this. But when I go ahead and use the driver, I switch to a metal hammer because then I'm not too concerned. It's just hitting this and not my actual bearing. Remember, I froze the other one. I didn't freeze this one. So we'll see how much of a difference that makes. I don't want to do this much without holding it because I don't want it flying out at me. There, I tapped it in there. This side's up the most. I'll tap it over here, tap it over here. If I was holding this, actually I can just hit it right on the center. There we go. So now it's down too far. Now I need my driver. So you hear that? I mean, that's not really, I was talking about that metal to metal sound. Kind of how it sounds, a little bit hollow. And when it's seated, you hear donk, you hear that metal. So I'm gonna get my driver and I'm gonna switch to the metal hammer so I can tap that around. See if I can set up my phone to to watch me. I know you guys never get to see the actual work because I'm actually doing the work. I don't know, can I set it up here? See if I can set it here and not get in the way. Hey, you guys might get to watch this. Shouldn't take that much. So we're taking this side right down around the edge. Gonna line that up on there and then just tap it around. Don't tap your fingers, obviously. There, she's sitting right on there. I'm gonna tap it there. Now we're up on this side, tap it there. Tap it this side, tap it this side. Tap it this side. There, oh, you hear that? That's down. That's down. That's down. Hear that? That is the metal sound you're looking for. She's completely seated. And because I can see in there, you can actually see that she is completely set. All is well. So I didn't freeze this one, and it went in just as easily as the top, as the bottom did. Yeah, and you can hit your finger. That won't make a metal sound. All right, well, that's in. Top and bottoms are in. We're gonna grease up. Put a little bit of grease on the insides, right in the races here. And then we'll smoosh some grease into the taper bearings. Shouldn't need the hammer anymore. All right, well, you got to see that. Hopefully I wasn't in the way. I'll go back and look, but at least you can hear me talking, right? All right, so I put some grease in the races. Put them around the edge so water's not getting in there as easily. And these are ready to go. So that's set up. Let's go over here. Now, we are using wheel, bearing, and chassis grease by Nampa. You can use whatever grease you like to use. I'm not going to recommend any because this is what I use. Anyway, here's our races. Because all my races are pretty much the same, these are going to be saved for future use. I won't have to cut into other ones to make it work. So, since this is already installed, I'm just going to take grease and just start pushing it in. You can make a mess here. You can always wipe it off. But you see, our this is moving freely. And we're just going to have to squeeze as much grease as we can in around there till it starts coming around the top. And just keep working it in, working it in, working it in around. When I do this with two hands, it'll make more sense and it'll work a little quicker and easier, but you're just gonna have to work it all in. Make sure nothing is dry. Like all these rollers in here, you can see in the middle, make sure there's grease squeezed in and around there and everything. Like I said, you can make a mess and come back and clean it up. Doesn't matter if grease gets down below the dust cover, all that stuff. So when you put these on, because mine was already done, you have a dust cover, make sure that goes in the right position. It's sitting on the bottom and cupping this bearing. So it's keeping dirt and debris and moisture from getting into here. So that's gonna sit along the bottom. So just make sure, squeeze, squeeze, go around. I got to get a bunch more. Like I said, it'll work better if I have two hands working this in. But you guys squeeze this stuff in and make sure it's coming up in between here. Doesn't matter if it's up here. That'll be fine. You can squeeze it in from the top. Ooh, be careful. That's a sharp edge. So yeah, just get it all squeezed in. And then for this one, doing the same thing. Make sure you don't get it in the dirt. I have it sitting on this piece of packaging. But this will be easier. I can squeeze it here and just keep... Oh, I'm not even showing you. I can squeeze it here and just keep going around, working it in, just pushing it in through here until it starts oozing out the top. You can always clean it up a little bit, but this guy is going to go in on top here when we get this installed. I have to pull these off, make sure I got to look at the diagram, make sure I have everything in order here of what I need to put on the top. So here, you're just doing this. This is kind of crazy. Do it with one hand. But yeah, just work it in. Work it in. You want this stuff squished. Get it all over yourself. That's what you want to do. You can always clean it off yourself. And it'll clean up your hands too if they're greasy. So yeah, just push it in. Work it around the cage. This is the spots that you don't have this, they'll rust first. You don't want rust starting to form in there. So squeeze it. Squish it in. I'm going to work on these, wipe my hands off when I'm done, and come back to the video. All right, so what I did was stuck my fingers up through the middle and just worked grease in all around this bearing until it was spurting up through the middle. Yes, I made a mess. My hands are greasy clean, and it worked. So extra grease isn't going to be a big deal. So I'll wipe out the middle a little bit, but that'll help it slide down on here and fit in just fine. We don't have to press this much. That's just going to be held in. Sorry, my phone says low battery. Okay, good to know. But that's just going to sit on top and be pressed down with basically this. Here, I spun it around as I was going and just kept pushing extra grease in as I was turning it and made sure there wasn't any gaps in the grease. Like you could see it like pushing up. In some areas looked a little less, so I just kept pushing it up until it was all around the bottom, and I might just do it a little more. I'm going to wipe it off around the bottom here so that it's not on the paint, but on here doesn't matter. You can smush this down in there and into the cage and make sure it's all good. So all we got to do with this then is take these off. These are the lock nuts. Okay. Lock nuts here. Like I said, I got to go look at the diagram, make sure I have everything in order here. So there's my lock nuts. Well, my nuts. That's the old bearing that came off. This is the top guy. Oh yeah, don't forget to put, this is the old dust shield. Don't need that. This is the old race. Don't need that. So this will go between those two lock nuts. And then this goes on top. I'm going to clean that out. That's grody. So clean that out. So that should be all that we need. I'm going to make sure of it though. And then this goes up through the neck. This guy rests in the bottom race. And then on top, we drop the this bearing down into the top race. And then I would say this one, these are probably the same. Nope, they are different. I'll figure out which one's first. I think it's this one. That is the cleanest one. So that's probably on the inside. And then the dirtier one's probably on the outside. And then this probably goes between them somehow. And then these tabs, well, this will go down because we usually don't bend them out if we don't have to. So that probably goes down. Huh, I'm not seeing, oh, there, that fits down right over that. So that's probably like that. And then this goes down. And then we bend these guys up to lock that in place. So that's what we're doing. I guess I should go charge my phone in the meantime. Make sure all this is squished and good. And then we can go ahead and put it in. Everybody's all greased up. I got plenty of grease in there. Plenty of grease in there. I actually washed my hands and I'm not all greasy. Probably going to get some grease on me when I put this bearing in. This is ready to slide into the neck, and I did look at a diagram. We have the bearing flipped upside down so it fits into our upper lower race, the race for the upper bearing. So this is going to be turned and sat on top, and then the next thing that goes on is the dust cover, which I still have in plastic. There you go. That's not the same one, but this is the upper dust cover, which I think, no, I don't know. That was the lower one. That might be the upper one. That might be the one that we, no, that's when we took off the old, anyway, not a big deal. That's when we took off the old stem. So then this guy, this locks down, screws down onto our steering. I just threw my lock washer on the floor. Okay, so yeah, Actually, let me look at what this is called. This is the top thread. This might be, what is this? Bottom thread? Let me see what that is called. Steering head top thread. That's what that's called. I don't know. And then this is our lock washer, as I showed you. Now, I don't know. I was looking at this. This is really light. This sucker is definitely aluminum. And I don't know where that fits, if anywhere. But I do know this is typical. This is heavier, more maybe steel, I think. But these definitely have a different. If you know what that is, let me know. It looks a little different. It does not seem to fit into our application. So anyway, lock washer, and then this is the top thread. So those things all go on. So what we're gonna do, take this. I don't know if this is going to slide right in for us. The question is, which way? Which way? This way? This way. Sorry. All right, so what happens is, this goes right up through the middle. Right up through the middle. And then that's gonna seat right into the lower race. Bing. You gonna stay there for me? Nope. Okay, so that's perfectly there. Okay, perfect. And then our bearing sits down on here, and I'm going to, do I have to hold it? I do, okay. So, I'm gonna put the bearing in, which yes, I am gonna get covered in stuff. And then put that dust cover down. And then I'll start putting that lock washer on so this doesn't fall off. All right, I will be honest. If this stuff isn't fitting in quite right, you probably did something wrong. There we go, bearing sitting flush, everything's looking good. So now we can take our dust cover with the lip down. That's gonna go over there and fit right in the groove. Perfectly, perfect and happy. That's all mated down perfectly good. Lovely. And you're gonna shimmy this as you tighten it down, because that's just, it's gonna settle a little bit. And then we did clean this up, if I didn't show you that. Here's our steering lock bearing. Huh, that's somewhat bent. Interesting. Why is that bent? Hope that's not a problem. Yeah, I hope it's not. Huh. That's not the original one that I had. And interesting, it's not fitting down over this either. Huh. Not sure. Maybe that's supposed to fit down over it. Let's look at the 04. Here's the 04. That does look a little different. Maybe I should use that. Maybe that would be better. I don't know. I'll check it out in a minute. It does look different. I'll have to do some research on that, because I just don't want anything to be wrong. This might be the one used on this stem from the CB750. Okay. I'm gonna check and make some reference, see if the 04 is the same lock washer as this one. I can verify now, which I'll put on the screen, that this is the same thing that would have came off the 0708. And it also works on CBR 1000s and a bunch of other bikes. So just so you know, I cleaned it up a little bit so it's clean. And this is probably, I didn't do my research, probably the same stuff that came off of here is also the same stuff that would be here. I already cleaned these up, so I'm going to use those. But I can also verify that this big guy came off the CB750. So you see the difference here. This is definitely not big enough or wide enough. This should fit down right over this lip. and just case everything in there and be perfect. So I'm gonna spin this one off and install this one and show you what we got. All right, so I'm holding this up in. She's well seated in there. And this guy is spinning down, looking like it's supposed to do. Yep, she's covering right up to where she's supposed to be. And then I'll have to torque her down a little bit because all this, the dust seal, everything is in there being compressed. So at this point, we shouldn't fall out. Got a little bit of play to take care of, and this is gonna lock and kind of compress everything. So I'm gonna get something to help me turn this down a little bit. Just by hand. She's not going any further. Maybe I should have pushed that down a little bit before I turned this down. Oh yeah, there it is. I don't think I compressed that like I should have. Okay. Oh yeah, what's she doing up there? She should be all pressed in way better than that. Do I have to make her a little bit tighter? Maybe I have to fit that bearing down a little bit better. That's okay, I can do that. Oh, she just pushed right off. So apparently, here, this needs to line up straight. There she is. Whew. So this is moving on me. So, like I said, I'm gonna have to... It's because this is laying this way. The steering stem's pushing that way. So this has to fit way down in there. All right, not a big deal. Let me go ahead and do that, and I'll tighten her down. I know I don't always have the proper tools, but I actually have a steering. This is for rear springs and steering. So this guy, let's see, does it say? Oh no, it's in Chinese. This guy, you can go in here and see how this fits in there. You can start tightening that down. We don't want to tighten it too far, but we do want to relieve the play in the steering bearings. So this is just compressing everything. You want to turn this back and forth, help get it set in, and also tighten it down as you go. Whoa, it's still very loose. We want all this. See how this lip is now over the frame? That's what we want. So I'm gonna make sure all this, move it up and down. You don't want play in there. Want to make sure that's all in there. And when we get this tight enough that it doesn't steer back and forth without resistance, and then we'll back it off just a hair. So right now, I want to make it up and down. Right now, it's not moving. We have solid steer back and forth. No play, forward or aft. No play anywhere. It's probably gonna settle a little bit more. I'm gonna tighten it just a hair more, just to see where we're at. Because you wanna set these bearings in their races. And then back it off just a little bit till it's fully loose. I can feel some resistance right here, but I want those bearings to sit, like I said. Put those bearings down in there. So this is about where I want it. I want it a little bit less because I feel some resistance. And you just flip this around and go the opposite way. And then, oh, the whole thing turned because I'm not holding the bottom. Back it off just a little bit. There, now I have full freedom. Steering feels good. So that's where I'd like to have it. Like I said, you want to make sure everything's set correctly. And again, you might have to readjust this once you have all the bottom end steering and everything on. All that weight down there, that's going to add to the dynamics of the bike. That's going to seat those bearings a little more when there's weight, when you have it up on its feet. So at this point, pretty much where we want it. Free movement, stop to stop. No play, up or down, no play, forward or aft, nothing. Perfect, getting exciting. Okay, the proper tool for this job. I don't know, you might need one. Or just grab, you want to butcher this, but you can turn that with whatever you need. Screwdriver, pliers, I wouldn't recommend it, but I do it. Not usually on a bike I'm rebuilding. So yeah, make sure you're not hitting anything. Look at that, that is so close, but it doesn't hit. Not at all. All right, so this is installed, and if it's good, we'll put the lock washer down. This guy right here, like I said, we could use this one if we need it. They should be exactly the same. They really should be. I think they're exactly the same. And then these, tighten that down. But again, make sure it still moves freely. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these on. I feel like I'm happy with that for now. And then we can install the front for the first time ever. Basically gonna push these guys right up through there. And I did make those markings on it, and if those are still proper, it's gonna sit right there. Exciting. Yeah, just a note, be careful when you're tightening down this top nut, this thread. While you're doing that, you might turn this one with it, so make sure before you decide you're happy with your position that this is still moving super, super, super smooth. Because as I was turning that, it started to tighten down a little bit more. So where I want it is where I want it now. I push this lock nut in. I got to do the other side right there. See, that's got to be pushed up. And I'm going to slide these forks in. Get the front end on. There she is. Front end back on. Let's pick her up. Get you a good look. She's setting up. I got these tightened down on either side, right about where my marks are. See there? I think the marks are on the back of that one. Yep, there you go. So I don't know if that was where it was supposed to be with the old stem, or, you know, I don't know. It looks good. Looks good to me. We can figure that out another time. But she's up. We got our new front end to set up. Now we need to put on our top triple clamp and then bolt that down. I'm sure I have everything here. Here is the triple clamp we'll be using. And I don't know if I'm using that ignition. I have the other ignition here. So there you go. We're getting somewhere. Remember, we still have this to deal with. I don't think I tightened that down completely. We have to put the clutch cable on, make sure everything's routed correctly. I don't think I have anything routed that could get in the way when I put the front end on. So we're good to go. There you go. So next time we'll pick through what we got going on here. We got to connect everything back up and assemble. And we have to do the rear brakes because they're disgusting. So that's next time. I have a battery here somewhere. Obviously it's not on here because we didn't need it, but we will soon. So bolts are here. I don't know, probably by this time I need a new battery, so we'll see. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Can't wait to hear this guy run. She hasn't run yet. Probably need new tire on the back. Well, it looks decent. Didn't take a beating. But yeah, all right. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great day. Get out and ride. It's cold. Bye.